I never thought my summer training would turn into the most intense, confusing, and thrilling experience of my life. My name's Alex, and I'm 18, the kind of guy who had always taken sports seriously, working tirelessly to improve in soccer. But even with all my dedication, nothing could have prepared me for Coach Reynolds' infamous summer bet. The story begins on a humid July afternoon. The soccer field was empty except for the rhythmic thump of a ball against my cleats. Sweat stung my eyes as I sprinted across the turf, chasing the ball like it held the answers to all my dreams and fears. I loved sports, yes, but I was also carrying a secret, one I had never told anyone, not even my closest friends. I loved crossdressing. It wasn't just a passing whim. It was a way for me to explore an identity that felt hidden under layers of expectations. I loved the feeling of soft fabrics against my skin, the delicate precision of makeup, and the thrill of transforming myself into someone elegant, feminine, and utterly different from the boy everyone saw on the field. Yet here I was, drenched in sweat, still the same boy everyone expected. My crossdressing was a secret I guarded fiercely, tucked away under my hoodies and loose pants, safely hidden when nobody was around. And then came Coach Reynolds. He was a tall, imposing man with piercing blue eyes and a reputation for being both strict and unpredictable. He had a particular fondness for pushing his trainees beyond their limits, whether physically or mentally. That day, he sauntered onto the field with his usual confident stride, clipboard in hand, radiating authority. "Alex," he called, his voice cutting through the hot afternoon air. I stopped dead in my tracks, my heart pounding. "Yes, coach," I replied, trying to sound casual despite the heat of nerves climbing up my spine. "I've been watching you this season," he said, pacing slowly, eyes never leaving mine. "You've got talent, but you also need something more, an edge. A challenge. Something to test, not just your body, but your focus, your mindset." My curiosity was piqued, though I had no idea what kind of challenge he meant. "Starting tomorrow, we're going to do something different," he continued. "A little bet, if you will. You'll see what I mean soon enough." He didn't elaborate, just gave me that enigmatic smile that made my stomach twist. I left the field that day with my mind spinning. A bet? What could he possibly mean? The following evening, as I returned home to my apartment, the familiar smell of my room, the faint scent of fabric softener and perfume from the clothes I kept hidden, welcomed me. My apartment was modest, a small sanctuary I shared with my girlfriend, Emma. Emma didn't know about my secret. She was beautiful, confident, and full of life, the kind of girl who made you feel like the world was brighter just because she existed. We had been dating for 6 months, and while our relationship was healthy and playful, I couldn't bring myself to reveal my cross-dressing desires to her. The thought of her discovering me like that sent shivers down my spine. What if she laughed? Or worse, judged me? That night, Emma was out with her friends, leaving me with a solitude I secretly cherished. I carefully retrieved one of my hidden outfits from the back of my closet, a soft pink blouse with delicate lace trim and a flowing skirt that brushed my knees. The silk of the skirt glided through my fingers as I held it close, imagining the transformation I would undergo, the duality I would embrace. I sighed, heart thumping, and began the process I knew so well, changing, applying makeup, and slipping into the feminine version of myself. The sensation was intoxicating. The brush of foundation across my skin, the flick of eyeliner shaping my eyes, the gentle curl of my hair into soft waves. It was like stepping into another world. My body felt lighter, my movements more graceful, and my confidence surged. I looked at myself in the mirror, a perfect balance of nervousness and exhilaration reflected back at me. And then, just as I was admiring the reflection of the girl in the mirror, my phone buzzed. A message from Coach Reynolds. "See you at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Bring your full commitment. This bet isn't just about training." I stared at the message, my heart leaping. Full commitment? The ellipsis after your made my mind race with possibilities, some thrilling, some terrifying. I felt a mix of anticipation and dread. Whatever he had planned, it was going to push me in ways I had never experienced. That night, I barely slept. My thoughts oscillated between excitement and fear. Emma's laughter from earlier in the day echoed in my mind, reminding me of the life I had to keep hidden. And yet, beneath that fear, there was a bubbling curiosity, a sense that something extraordinary was about to happen, something that would test the boundaries of who I was, both as Alex and as the girl I could become. By dawn, I was already dressed in my training gear, though the outfit I had chosen the night before remained hidden beneath the layers. Coach Reynolds was waiting in the parking lot, his imposing frame silhouetted against the rising sun. He didn't smile, not really, but there was a glint in his eye that promised challenge, unpredictability, and transformation. "Morning, Alex," he said, clipboard in hand. "Are you ready to take this bet seriously? Because this summer isn't just about soccer. It's about control, confidence, and presentation." I nodded, gripping my water bottle like a lifeline. My pulse raced as I realized that this bet, whatever it entailed, was about to merge the two worlds I kept separate, my athletic persona and the feminine side I had always hidden. And just like that, my summer training took a turn I had never anticipated, thrusting me into a world where every drill, every glance, every decision would test the limits of my identity. This was the beginning of my journey as Coach Reynolds' feminine trainee, and I had no idea how much it would change me. The first morning of the bet arrived with a mix of dread and exhilaration. The sun was just beginning to filter through the bleachers, casting long shadows across the soccer field. Coach Reynolds stood by the sidelines, clipboard in hand, radiating that same commanding presence that made my pulse spike. "Alex," he called, voice steady but layered with an edge I couldn't quite place. "Today begins your test, not just as an athlete, but as someone willing to embrace transformation." I swallowed hard. His words carried a weight I couldn't ignore. Transformation. Not just in skill, not just in confidence, but something more intimate, more personal. My heart thumped violently in my chest as I nodded. "Follow my instructions carefully," he continued. "This is about control, precision, and commitment." We started with the usual drills, sprints, passing exercises, and endurance runs. But there was a difference. Every so often he would pause, his gaze scrutinizing me, and give instructions that felt unusual. "Alex," he said, stopping me mid-drill, "I want you to focus not just on strength but on poise. Grace in your movement. Imagine you're balancing on a tightrope, delicate, controlled, aware of every motion." I blinked, confused but intrigued. Grace? Poise? It wasn't just about athletics anymore. After the morning drills, Coach led me to a small training room adjacent to the gym. Inside, mirrors lined the walls, reflecting every move I made. There, a pile of clothes, shoes, and accessories awaited, deliberately feminine, delicate, and intimidating all at once. "This," he said, gesturing to the array of skirts, blouses, and heels, "is part of the bet. Today, you'll begin training in a form that challenges your physical and mental balance. You'll wear these, move in them, and perform exercises just as you would on the field." My stomach twisted. The realization hit me. This was not just a test of skill. It was a test of identity, confidence, and vulnerability. Coach handed me a soft, flowing skirt and a fitted blouse. I hesitated, fingers trembling as I touched the delicate fabrics. My heart raced with excitement and fear. This was my world, the one I had always kept secret, now laid bare in the open. "Start," he instructed. "Move through the drills as you normally would, but maintain your posture, your balance, and your awareness of how your body interacts with the clothing." I slipped into the outfit behind a curtain, feeling a surge of both thrill and anxiety. The fabric was soft against my skin, the skirt swishing lightly as I adjusted to its presence. When I stepped out, the mirrors reflected not just a trainee, but a version of myself I had longed to embrace. The first few drills were awkward. Every sprint made the skirt flutter, every pivot felt precarious. But gradually, I began to find a rhythm, a harmony between my athletic instincts and the delicate demands of the outfit. Coach watched silently, nodding occasionally, his gaze sharp and evaluative. By noon, I was exhausted but exhilarated. My muscles ached from the physical strain, but my mind buzzed with something else entirely, a strange mixture of pride, vulnerability, and an almost intoxicating thrill. I could feel the transformation happening, not just physically but emotionally. Coach Reynolds didn't stop there. Over the next few days, he introduced new challenges, balancing exercises in heels, agility drills while wearing skirts, and even posture and poise lessons designed to refine my movements. Each task pushed me further, blurring the line between who I was on the field and who I was becoming in this feminine persona. Meanwhile, my internal conflict deepened. I loved the way the clothes made me feel, elegant, delicate, confident in a way I had never experienced, but the secrecy weighed heavily. What if Emma discovered this? What if someone saw me like this? And yet, the thrill of the hidden, the excitement of living a dual identity, became addictive. One afternoon, as I practiced precise footwork in a short skirt and ballet flats, I stumbled. My balance faltered, and I nearly fell, but the mirrored walls reflected my determination. I steadied myself, taking a deep breath, and realized something profound. This wasn't just about Coach's bet or proving myself on the field. It was about embracing a side of me I had always hidden, about learning to move confidently in every aspect of my life. Coach's voice broke my reverie. Good, Alex. You're beginning to understand the balance, the awareness, and the grace. But remember, this is just the beginning. The true test comes when you combine all elements: skill, poise, confidence, and secrecy. Days turned into weeks, and the training intensified. I learned to run, pivot, and jump while maintaining perfect balance in heels. I mastered dribbling a soccer ball in skirts without losing form. Each achievement brought a mix of pride and nervousness. I was thriving in this feminine persona, but the secrecy remained paramount. One wrong glance from a teammate or an unexpected visitor could unravel everything. And then came the first real suspenseful moment. Emma called unexpectedly, asking if I could meet her for lunch. Panic surged through me. I was in a short skirt, blouse, and heels, still sweaty from training. There was no time to change. I barely managed to concoct a believable excuse, my voice tense as I explained I had a last-minute training session. My heart raced as I imagined her discovering the truth. Yet beneath the panic was exhilaration, a secret thrill that this hidden identity was now intertwined with my daily life in ways I had never anticipated. By the end of the week, I had transformed completely, not just physically, but emotionally. I moved with newfound confidence, my dual identity becoming more integrated. The bet was no longer just a challenge. It was a journey into self-discovery, testing my limits and pushing me into a space of thrilling vulnerability. Coach Reynolds, always observing, had one final instruction. Tomorrow, you'll face the ultimate test. It's not enough to perform these skills in private. You'll be evaluated under observation. And remember, Alex, secrecy, poise, and confidence are all part of the challenge. One misstep, and the consequences will be revealing. That night, as I lay in bed, the soft skirt still draped over a chair in my room, I realized how deeply this journey had affected me. I was no longer just Alex the athlete or Alex the secret crossdresser. I was both, merging in ways that terrified and exhilarated me simultaneously. And as I drifted into a restless sleep, I knew the real suspense was just beginning. The day of the ultimate evaluation arrived like a storm I couldn't escape. My stomach churned as I stood outside the training facility, the morning sunlight glinting off the mirrored windows. Today wasn't just another drill. Today was the culmination of weeks of grueling training, secret crossdressing, and the delicate balance of skill, poise, and secrecy. Coach Reynolds met me at the entrance, his expression unreadable. "Alex," he said, voice calm but commanding. "Today you'll demonstrate everything you've learned. Remember, balance, grace, confidence, and discretion. One slip, and your progress will be revealed." My pulse quickened. One slip. The words echoed ominously in my mind. Inside the training room, a group of other trainees were gathered, unaware of the unique challenge I faced. They were all in standard athletic attire, while I was in a fitted blouse, short skirt, and heels that clicked against the polished floor. My reflection in the mirrored walls seemed to stare back at me, reminding me of how far I had come and how vulnerable I now was. "Begin," coach instructed. The first set of drills went smoothly. I ran agility courses, jumped hurdles, and maneuvered with a soccer ball, each movement measured and precise. The skirt swished delicately with every motion, heels demanding constant adjustment, forcing me to concentrate harder than ever before. Then came the balance beam exercise, a simple enough task for anyone in sneakers, but for me in heels, it was a minefield. My muscles tensed as I placed one foot carefully in front of the other, arms extended, every fiber of my being focused on maintaining poise. Halfway across, my heel slipped slightly. My heart raced. A collective murmur went through the room. Coach Reynolds' eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. I adjusted quickly, steadying myself, and made it to the end. Relief washed over me, but the tension remained. I was being watched, analyzed, and every tiny misstep could unravel the weeks of progress. Next came the obstacle course. I had to sprint, duck, and pivot, all while maintaining balance and composure. Each movement demanded perfect harmony between athletic ability and feminine grace. I could feel sweat dripping down my back, blending with the exhilaration and fear that churned in my stomach. Then the unexpected happened. A whistle blew sharply, and the door to the training room creaked open. My heart lurched. A substitute coach, unfamiliar to me, stepped in, clipboard in hand. My mind raced. Did he know? Had Coach Reynolds planned this as part of the test, or was it a genuine risk of exposure? I froze for a fraction of a second, enough for the heels to wobble. Panic surged, but I forced myself to move. One careful step, then another. My focus narrowed to the task at hand. I was both Alex, the athlete, and Alex, the feminine trainee, coexisting in every motion. By the time I reached the final drill, a series of spins and turns designed to test balance and grace, I was trembling, sweat-soaked, heart-hammering. The mirrored walls reflected not just my movements, but the duality of my identity. For a fleeting moment, my skirt slipped slightly, the edge brushing my thigh in a way that made me hyper-aware of my vulnerability. Coach Reynolds' voice cut through my panic. "Hold your posture, Alex. Confidence is everything." Summoning every ounce of courage, I completed the drill flawlessly. The room seemed to exhale, a collective acknowledgement of my skill. But the suspense wasn't over. "Final test," Coach said, his tone low and deliberate. "You will now perform a demonstration under observation. Emma will be arriving shortly." My heart stopped.
Emma.
My girlfriend. The thought of her seeing me like this, feminine, poised, exposed, sent waves of anxiety through me. I had kept this secret carefully, balancing my dual life with precision. Now, it was on the verge of being revealed. Minutes later, the familiar sound of her voice reached my ears. "Alex, are you in here?" I froze, heels planted firmly on the floor. My reflection in the mirror showed both fear and anticipation. Every muscle tensed, every thought focused on maintaining composure. Coach Reynolds stepped forward. "Remember, Alex, this is part of the bet. Show control, grace, and poise. Do not falter." Emma entered, her eyes widening as she took in the sight before her. My skirt, blouse, and perfectly balanced posture. The heels. The subtle, delicate makeup I had learned to apply. She blinked, speechless. I held my breath, heart pounding. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to explain, to hide. But I stood my ground, letting the reflection of my dual identity solidify in the mirrors. "Alex," she began, voice uncertain, eyes scanning me from head to toe. "Is this you?" "Yes," I whispered, voice trembling. "I've been training like this. Coach's bet. It's about control, balance, and confidence. Not just on the field." A tense silence filled the room. Emma's expression softened slightly, but curiosity and disbelief danced in her eyes. I don't know what to say." Coach Reynolds watched silently, letting the suspense linger, his gaze sharp. Every heartbeat, Every second stretched endlessly. Then, the twist. One of the other trainees stepped forward, pointing toward the mirrors. "Wow. Alex, you look different. Amazing." My heart lurched. Exposure. The secret was on the verge of unraveling in front of everyone. The physical and emotional tension hit me like a wave. Could I maintain composure? Would Emma accept this version of me? I took a deep breath, adjusting my posture, lifting my chin, and meeting Emma's gaze. "I'm still me," I said softly. "Just a side of me I've been learning to embrace." Emma stepped closer, her eyes searching mine. "I want to understand. Show me." As I began to demonstrate the final series of drills, spins, pivots, and jumps and heels, the mirrors reflected every movement, every carefully balanced step, and every flicker of doubt and pride in my expression. The suspense reached its peak. Would I complete the performance flawlessly? Would my secret remain intact? And then, a sudden snap, the heel of my right foot caught on the edge of the platform. Time seemed to slow. My balance wavered. The room gasped. But somehow, with a surge of adrenaline, I steadied myself, completing the move with grace. The collective tension broke, replaced by applause and astonished murmurs. Emma's eyes softened, a mixture of awe and relief. "Alex, that was incredible." Coach Reynolds nodded approvingly. "You've passed the test in skill and poise. But remember, the ultimate challenge isn't just this room. It's navigating life outside, where your dual identity must remain your secret until you choose to reveal it." I exhaled, the adrenaline still coursing through my veins. I had succeeded physically, emotionally, and in secrecy for now. But the stakes were higher than ever. Emma's presence, the unexpected witness, the constant balance of identity, all promised that the suspense was far from over. As I left the training room, skirts swishing delicately, heels clicking with measured precision, I realized the climax wasn't just about the bet. It was about embracing every facet of myself, facing fear head-on, and learning that vulnerability could coexist with strength. And deep down, I knew the next challenge, the next suspenseful moment, was already waiting around the corner. The room had finally quieted. The other trainees had left, their whispers trailing like echoes in the polished gym. Emma lingered near the mirrored wall, her gaze still fixed on me, a mixture of awe, curiosity, and something I couldn't quite name flickering in her eyes. I adjusted my skirt, the delicate fabric swishing around my thighs, and smoothed down my hair, feeling the subtle weight of the heels beneath my feet. Every fiber of my being was still buzzing from the adrenaline, yet beneath it all, a quiet tension remained. This was only the beginning. Coach Reynolds stepped closer, his voice calm but firm. "Alex, today you've demonstrated poise, skill, and control. But remember, outside these walls, the challenge grows. Maintaining this balance in the real world is far more complex than any drill or bet." I nodded, swallowing hard, my heart still pounding. Emma's presence intensified the stakes. Would she accept this side of me fully? Could I trust that my secret would remain intact? Emma finally spoke, her voice soft but uncertain. "Alex, I don't know what to say. Seeing you like this, it's a lot. But I want to understand. I really do." Her words should have been comforting, but instead, they magnified my vulnerability. The idea that she might fully grasp the duality of my life, the risk of judgment or rejection, and the thrill of being exposed all at once made my pulse race. Then the unexpected. The gym door creaked open. My stomach twisted. I hadn't heard anyone else enter. A shadow fell across the floor, a figure I didn't recognize. "Coach Reynolds," a voice called. It was formal, measured, and carried a hint of authority. "I need a word with you about the new trainee." Panic surged through me. Exposure. Recognition. What if this person was someone who could unravel everything? The bet, the training, my secret identity. Emma's eyes widened. "Who is that?" she whispered. I felt my balance falter, not physically this time, but emotionally. My hands trembled slightly, and the heels beneath me seemed suddenly unforgiving. The mirrored wall reflected the tension, showing the duality of Alex, the poised, confident trainee in heels and blouse, and the vulnerable, secretive Alex inside. Coach Reynolds raised a hand, signaling calm. "Stay where you are. I'll handle this." The figure approached, clipboard in hand, their eyes scanning me with an unreadable expression. My breath caught. Was this a routine inspection, or had my secret been discovered? Emma stepped closer, taking my hand. "Alex, are you okay?" I nodded, though my mind raced. I'm fine. Just unexpected." The figure stopped just short of the mirrored wall. "Interesting," they murmured, as if noticing something unusual. Then their gaze met mine, direct, piercing, and unnerving. A shiver ran down my spine. Coach Reynolds cleared his throat. "Alex has been excelling in all aspects of training. Your observations are noted, but there's no cause for concern." The shadowy figure's eyes lingered on me a moment longer, and I felt my heart leap. There was something in that look: curiosity? Suspicion? Recognition? I couldn't tell. Then, without another word, they turned and left, leaving the room silent once more. Emma exhaled softly. "That was close." I forced a laugh, but it sounded hollow even to my own ears. "Too close," I admitted, feeling the adrenaline drain slowly from my body. Coach Reynolds placed a hand on my shoulder. "Remember, Alex, the test doesn't end here. The world outside will challenge your poise, your secrecy, and your identity. One wrong step, and everything could change." The weight of his words settled over me like a storm cloud. My heart still raced, but beneath the fear, a flicker of determination ignited. I had come this far. I had faced humiliation, physical trials, and the constant fear of exposure. I wasn't going to stop now. Emma squeezed my hand. "Whatever happens," she said softly, "I want to be here with you." Her words should have eased my anxiety, but instead, they intensified the suspense. Could I truly maintain my secret with her so close? Could I navigate the coming challenges without losing control, or would the delicate balance shatter at the first unexpected twist? The mirrors reflected us both, the poised, feminine trainee in heels and the anxious, hopeful Alex inside. The heels clicked as I took a step forward, every motion deliberate, every thought a careful calculation. The test was far from over. Outside the gym, the world awaited, filled with uncertainty, exposure, and the thrill of hidden identity. And deep down, I knew that the next challenge could come at any moment. Emma might see too much, someone might discover my secret, or the consequences of the bet could finally catch up with me. I glanced at Coach Reynolds, then at Emma. "I'm ready," I whispered, though my voice trembled slightly. Emma nodded, a mixture of trust and apprehension in her eyes. "Me too." And then, as the gym door closed behind the lingering shadow, I realized the cliffhanger, the suspense that would haunt every heartbeat, every decision, every step in heels. Would I maintain control? Would Emma fully accept this side of me? Or would the coming days expose my secret in ways I couldn't yet imagine? The answers would have to wait, leaving the audience on the edge of their seats, hearts pounding, minds racing, and eager to return for the next chapter.